Asif?
The idea of secured governance, which Dr. P.Sekhar and his team have thought of and have been suggesting to various fora so far, becomes very important an issue because apart from public and private partnership, this particular concept is unique in that it places tremendous emphasis on third party to this entire venture, namely the society.
At the outset, I would like to thank Dr. Sekhar for this webinar on a very important subject. Before I get into the topic, I would like to mention very briefly about the work which Dr. Sekhar has been doing. I met him for the first time in 1988, and then I was impressed by his thoughts and the work he was trying to do in 1988.
Second is the COVID management and the health sector. I found a very interesting word which Dr. Sekhar appreciated and others. He referred to one word which translates into health security. We have been talking of energy security through refinery, but the word that was used, or rather I got translated as health security, well, it speaks volume of the focus of the government. Support to middle class and SMEs is something that is the third focus of the government, and is both government, also the digital government, or something that conforms to the vision which you had shared about the smart cities. And of course, as I go along, I'll explain as to how we could use these policy directives of the new government into the post-COVID world.
Thank you, Dr. Maitre, and especially thank you to Akram Haque for inviting me to this World Education Conference. It's my pleasure to be here, connecting online to the educationists of the world.
Sincere thanks to Dr. Sekhar and Mr. Akram of Times Policy for giving this opportunity. Probably this is third or fourth time that I'm on the Times Policy platform. And it's a great pleasure to have Krishnamurthy as my co-panelist. Thank you, Krishnamurthy, for that.
Very much, Dr. Sekhar, for that wonderful presentation and for your gracious introduction.
It's a pleasure to be here and an honor. And I'm very keen in supporting this movement.
I'm very excited, happy, and honored to be on this particular forum.
Thank you so much. Good afternoon. You are watching the Policy Times exclusive Unleashing India Global Web Summit series show, which is very exclusive within the Policy Times platform, where we bring experts of different part of the world, different part of the country to talk on various policy subjects within Unleashing India Global Web Summit series broader spectrum. We do this niche closed door discussion on a high in-depth discussion on any policy subject with one-to-one rendezvous format with Dr. P.Sekhar, who is the chairman of Unleashing India Global Web Summit series. And I will describe his couple of accomplishments and works that he has been doing. This episode, again, is dedicated to one of the most important sector of the country, of any country in the world, that is the role of agriculture and agricultural growth for the national reincarnation. Agriculture needs no introduction. We all know the importance of this important sector. No country in the world can survive without agriculture and good agricultural productivity. Any country which is dependent on food for others will be dependent forever for others, to provide them food. Food is a very basic necessity for the world. Now, this sector is also undergoing massive transition. Now, how is the technology impacting this sector? Recently, a NASSCOM report says that if artificial intelligence will be implemented in agriculture, it will bring a massive change. I will not go into the details of this subject because that is what we will hear from our expert today, Dr. Sekhar. I just want to introduce him a bit. So, there are a lot of challenges we have in the agriculture sector. We will try to understand them, and we will also try to find solutions for them. As I was talking, the speaker and the presenter of this afternoon today is Dr. P.Sekhar, who is chairman of Smart City Panel and also chairman of Microtech Global Foundation, member of Blue Economy Task Force in various platforms, including Haque, where we did a tremendous amount of work on blue economy. So Dr. Sekhar is an author. He has written more than 80 plus books on different topics, on different sectors, whether it is smart city, blue economy, education, any country, any state. So, through that, he tried to bring solutions. He tried to bring different perspective in that. Dr. Sekhar's book have been praised by many experts of the world. As you see, we have Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, who awarded Dr. Sekhar uh, outstanding contribution for his outstanding contribution towards society and technology. We can easily see his book being launched by our Minister General V.K. Singh, Minister of External Affairs. Then he was, and then we can see his some praise words by our current Prime Minister and former Chief Minister Sri Narendra Modi, the former Chief Minister of Maharashtra, and also the current Minister Sri Nitin Gadkari ji. So like this, but more than this, he's actually known as the architect of the concept called secure governance. Now we are also trying to learn this concept. So Dr. Sekhar's claim is that through the concept and framework of secure governance, India can address many of the challenges it faces sustainably. So we can bring sustainable solution to the challenges that the country is facing. That is why we call him the architect of the concept of secure governance. Today, we will try to find out the challenges in agriculture and how, under his concept of secure governance, we can find solution of the current agriculture and food security challenges that the country is facing. And we become the leader. We already are a leader in the agriculture and food security sector. How do we become the bigger one, the more influential power, while giving food, employment, shelter to our farmers, the very own first stakeholder who are the pillar of India's agriculture? Dr. Sekhar, over to you.
Thank you, Akram. We started off now to the 86th session as we go. And last 5 months, one of the sessions is fully addressed by me. We covered in the previous session, smart cities, blue economy, overseas Indians, skill development, so on and so forth. Today, it is one of the most important topics in terms of its importance, its all-round importance from various angles, that is agriculture. We are calling it enhanced role of agriculture, accelerated agricultural growth for the planning, smart, secured governance for national reincarnation. Okay. Now, why this a slightly complicated word has been coined? Because we generally try to ensure that each is important in its own way. So the wording here, as you know, is not as simple. It is accelerated growth of agriculture. As we know, long back, India was 90% an agriculture country, but much of our food grains were even being imported. Even historically, if you see, even America got discovered because somebody was trying to come to India for its food and agricultural items like spices and all were world famous. And Columbus landed up discovering USA, America. Okay. Same way, even when Robert Clive came to India, it was for more of the food and other items, which are very famous, even though they were all, how did they go abroad, we do not know. But they were all famous and we were all known for it. But as we got independence, we were in a real devastated situation, as much devastated as we are now by COVID. So we were almost a 90% agricultural country, and we were still importing foods. And there was a time when we were also compelled to take one day fast, saying that food is not there in the country. Today we are food surplus country, and as you go down, you'll find some very interesting facts. Let me go to the presentation in its totality. Normally, I rush through the presentation. Today, I will go through the presentation so that we understand every aspect of agriculture, and agriculture from the point of view of India's growth, India's reincarnation, and India to be what I call as India to be a total world food factory. Okay, Indian food should be very, very famous. Agriculture should be the core for making this happen. Now, for such a thing to happen, we should understand what is India. Now, India, as we generally put this slide in all the presentation, India is almost 206 countries put together. So it has got the challenges which is magnified 200 times. So whatever we say or do has got that type of a challenge. So before we either praise or criticize the government, we should know the challenges which every Indian has got. It's not the challenge of only of the government, as an Indian. So it has got enough land, enough water, but all in odd places, so that there has to be, because especially for food, water is very, very important. Nature gives us water and land. Rest all things are made by us. Okay. So anything you do, whether high technology you do or low technology you do, this are all within the framework of land and water. Even when we say we all make chips, and they are all made from sand, silicon. Okay. So that's what make the highest end mobiles, highest end telecom, highest end space, everything. So that even when you say nuclear power, the uranium is coming from some of the sand in the coastal lines. So many of these things are based on these two. And that fortunately we have got in abundance, but we have also got abundant people. Now here this plays a very important role on a negative side, because every year India grows up by one Australia stroke Canada of 20 million people. 20 million people is a huge number of growth. So we were independent as a 350 million people country, and we added up successfully 850 million plus plus plus. Okay, so we are almost 300% more, and no country in the world can have that type of a claim. So we were very, very fertile and very, very good in whatever we call as a human protection. Now this has got its own advantage, this has got its own major disadvantage, because we have to feed them. That's where agriculture comes into the picture. But when the same thing becomes a market for the world, this becomes advantageous. Today, in many ways, yes, this extra population is advantage. In some ways, they are absolute disadvantage, because of we have to get 20 million jobs for 20 million people who are born about 20, 25 years back, which is the biggest challenge. So when that type of a challenge is there, we have to use the word strategy. Now, strategy is the one which is going to play a very key role. While talking of this thing, let us also know that this reincarnation program we started because of COVID. Okay. That's why we changed the word growth to reincarnation, because COVID overnight destroyed so many things: an invisible, unknown creature, unknown worm, unknown germ, unknown virus, unknown whatever we call it, because we do not know, from where it came, how it came, why it came. And also we know that, it has really affected negligible people, but psychologically it has brought down the country and brought down the whole world to its knees. It is a World War III where the warriors are all the countrymen are warriors. There's no special soldiers required, and they do not know whom they are fighting with, because this itself has really affected 0.8% of Indians, and out of this 0.8%, 98% of the people are recovered. So what is it we are fighting? We do not know, but from all angles, we are just trying to recoup, trying to rebuild, trying to remodify, and trying to get the economy back on track, so that people's smile can come back on track. And we are all happy people. We would like to always things to be, taken in the right spirit. And that's what Indians are doing. And that's what the world is doing. And on the side, because of this, we are also now today known for various good things. And our own people in pharma and all have got extremely good names, which was not true. Our own doctors have got good names. Our own healthcare, which was really one of the laughing parameters in the world, has become the shining example of the world. That yes, now everybody wants to follow what India is doing. Now, just one or two small slides in terms of which Akram told. I've written a huge number of books for India abroad, but 90% of the books are for India. and they got very good acclaim from people that matter. Now, with a small thing, let me come directly to agriculture. Okay. Agriculture in totality. Okay. Agriculture is the thing where, almost even today, 60% of Indians are in agriculture. When we got independence, almost 90% of Indians were in agriculture. Okay. Even with this COVID coming in picture, everybody has to eat. They may not go to factory, they may not buy a television, they may not manufacture a television, but they have to have food. So full 1.3 billion people have to be fed. And we are also having a huge export market for agriculture. Even when small onions were not available for exports, the prime ministers of 10 different countries had phoned the Indian prime minister, please, what happened? We are all waiting for Indian onions. Okay. Onion is generally supposed to be a low-end food item. So we are today we are importing food under some PL 480, something like that was there, I know, in 70s. Food, one has to wait for the ship to come before the next day it comes to ration card, and through the ration it will come to the people for distribution. Today we are in food exporting country. And as you know, as you go down the ladder, you will also find that we are having huge amount of food being wasted. The slides I got, which indicate that 90,000 crores worth of food is being wasted because of our own slight mismanagement and our own excess production. So that being the case, we have to be very, very careful in managing food. No point in wasting even on 90,000 crores, even 1 crore of food should not be wasted, because food is something, as an Indian, it's an another thought. It's something which is very, very special to us. It is no use producing and wasting the food. Wasting the food in any form, right from a grain to its full-fledged food form. So, in an overview of agriculture, we will know that we are today one of the largest producers from any aspect of food. Okay, whether it is the normal grains to half made food to its full chain of innovative food. Our food has got huge acceptance throughout the world, and but we have not marketed ourselves for the diversity of food which we have got. The number of sweets which India produces is more than 10,000. The number of achars we produce is more than 10,000. Each ones are all in tens of thousands. Okay. So even something like basmati, today we are making basmati and somebody has patented the word basmati and all, so which is under debate, of course. Now, many things, like when you say food, even our own Ayurveda is agri-medical. Okay, agromedical. So there again, somewhere agriculture comes in picture, and it has got a huge acceptance throughout the world. Many are talking of agromedical, which India is bringing to the world. So in terms of overview of agriculture, we were once fully manual. Okay, that's why 90% of people were not even producing for this thing. Today we are semi-manual, because many things are mechanized, many things are taken care automatically. There is a supply chain which has come, even though it has to go a long, long way to satisfy the people, the length and breadth of the country, the people's requirements, the people's aspirations, which, because today everybody builds in just in time. I have a taste for something X today, and I need it within the next 1 hour. So anywhere in India, that particular X combination has to be available. So, but it is somewhere available today. It is not available, even though, as I said, it has a long way to go. So we have got, as you know, record production, and we are having more problem in storing them, because of which there's a huge waste as we go down the line. Now, agriculture has got a huge allied sectors. Allied sectors mean agriculture is not only just making growing in the field. The growing in the field itself is a huge process. When you sow the seed, when you water it, each has its own lifespan. Some will grow in 2 days, some will grow in 2 months, and there are some which grows in 10 years, like things like sandalwood and all. Some of them really give you results in 25 years also. There are some which gives results in 1 year. There are some which is cycled for 3 times, and then they will again have to redo the whole system. Some are good in terms of some X will be produced, and when you produce Y in between, the X becomes better for the next yield. So it acts as a catalyst come producer. So there's a huge research going on. And even when we see our own vegetation and all, as we go down, we find big change in the way things are offered to us. There are some fruits which are which not only taste good, the nuts and all have, in some of the grapes have disappeared, okay, which is not there. And the same thing is happening in many. That is because of the agri research, which is also going on intensely on a very good level. And there are many colleges and many experts who are doing intense work. And they all have to be collated for, like when we say apple is coming from Kashmir and Simla, means there is not only the quality of the apple has to be good, the storage has to be proper, it has to be plugged at the right time, it has to be offered with the right set of conditions, travel in its own way. It may have to travel 3,000 kilometers, and many of them are exported to even 10,000 kilometers. So it has to go in the right way. Same way, in many places, our own flowers get exported. Flowers get exported. Flowers don't even have a lifespan of 6 hours. So within the time, it gets exported in a proper condition, and then there are happy customers. And everything has got 10 to 100 times more market than what it is being done today. Okay. Even something like mangoes. Everybody likes to have mangoes from India. Of course, there are mangoes from abroad also, you can say. But there are some special mangoes which from India which are very well known, which were very well appreciated. So, so each and every aspect, in milk and all, we are number one in the world. Milk and many items, we are number one in the world. And today, many countries want us to put our own systems in place there because they are not as good they were. And believe me, we were one of the worst in all this thing when we got independence, or even first 20 years of independence. Then we have picked up the technology, we have picked up the thing, we have done the research ourselves, we have bought the ready-made technology where we are not good at it, and then we have ensured that they go to the end user properly, and they give enough to the farmers. Now, enough to the farmers is maybe an exaggerated truth, or probably a semi lie, because the farmers are not getting as much as they should get. Okay. And which we have to go out of the way to see that they are satisfied, because they feed the whole country. So for that to happen, we need to ensure that, because there is an excess production, okay, and the distribution system is there, but they are nowhere near what it should be to satisfy the core person who is doing. Okay, not that all farmers are listening. At least 30% for the farmers are not being taken care properly. Out of it, 10 are absolutely in a bad way. That's why there's a famous syndrome of farmer suicide. Okay, now, suicide is there in all the sectors. We have suicide in of the richest people also are there. We have suicide in the labor is there. Suicide in corporates are there. But farmer suicide is highly concerning, because it is in thousands. It is not in few hundreds. Okay, there are some corporate suicides are there where a corporate person, highest level executive, has also committed suicide for some reason, for whatever reason. It is investigated in its own way because of the pressure, because of the technology, because of the travel, because of the expectation. So many things are there. But farmer suicide is because of not getting money, which is not good. Okay, they have to get that, and they are making. The needs are there, and there is a need not only in India but also in export. If you remove the 90,000 crores worth of farm food item which are getting wasted, you would have enough to pay all the people. So that's what we are going to touch upon in some portion of this presentation. So in growth in agriculture sector, as I said, it's all in billions. When we say 2016, $250 billion. Okay, 17, 266, 283, all of magnitudes which are really something which we like to see, which we like to talk about. In rice, wheat, cereals, pulses, food grains, oilseed, sugarcane, cotton. But what happens even in sugarcane? We are producing enough, but a lot of factories are not able to get the right sugar at the right sugar cane at the right time, and they somewhere languish. And sometimes there's excess production and there is no factory to take care. So the logistic management is something which will have to be fine-tuned, because we have suddenly grown. This should have been evolved over a long time. The evolution is coming suddenly, and the systems are not really in place. But with IT, like Akram said, artificial intelligence, others can play a huge role. Today, through artificial intelligence, we can almost simulate the climatic conditions, simulate the requirements, simulate where, who will ask for which, and all those things can be done. And once that is done, we can be better than the Japanese GIT. That means just in time. So there is a huge surge in demand of Indian agriculture products, not only in India, but throughout the world. So that it is India's responsibility to see that, because the world considers India for knowledge, which is now apparent from way things are being taken, and also for food, raw food, as well as finished food. Many of the food of north, south, east, west of India has got a huge acceptance. Here, our own 25 million Indians who are abroad, they are doing a huge job. Okay, they are not the consumers alone; they are also catalysts for India's food being taken abroad. What does it mean? If you go to any Indian restaurants in the heart of even the biggest cities in the world, there are 90% foreigners sitting inside those restaurants than Indians sitting. And there's a huge rush, which means our food gets the type of acceptance. Our food can be made only by the type of typical cereals, typical combination of items which can make that particular food, whether it is a South Indian dosa or a pav bhaji or a misal. Things have to be of that level. And again, why such a small thing I'm putting in the agricultural talk is that this can give a real good market, the real good way to fend for those 25 million more Indians who are born, and even the farmers who are committing suicide. They all can come down drastically if these are all taken care. If you have this type of an export going on to the world, because the same item available at X amount in India can be sold at 20 times this particular rate. Okay, so you can understand the difference which is there, which will take care of many things which are needed in because India even today, with all this thing, India is in that growing economy stage. I only hope it is permanently growing, because then costs are in control. The moment we become what people call as a fully grown economy, then cost goes so much sky high that everything goes out of hand. Finally, only that your parity becomes different, but you cannot see the upper ladder. Now, that's why this particular slide, in terms of the surge in demands of various items, right from veg to non-veg to spices to oil, everything. Now, this is a processing industry. Food processing industry has its own challenges. When something is produced, it has to be processed. Okay, processed what? Processed not only for packing, processed in terms of its usage, in terms of its utility. So when milk is produced and then it is made into ghee, it is made into a ghee products, and then on this side it is made into various types of sweets. On this side it is made into various types of byproducts. So it has got a huge process. In all this thing, as we go into the next slide, supply chain makes a big inroads, because supply chain is the one which is going to take care of ensuring that this is going to the right place at the right time. Now, you can see from this slide that export of processed food and related products, right from fruits to processed vegetables to processed meat. And there are captive audience. There are countries which are waiting for it to come from India. Okay. Fortunately for us, with all the deficiencies, we have been able to get a good name. Nobody says Indian food is bad, or India is giving a non-processed way. Means, food has got its own stringent conditions throughout the world, especially in Western world. But you can see the processed vegetables are wanted in USA, France, Germany, UK, Belgium. They are all people with the highest level of stringent conditions, standards and all. So processed fruits, USA, Netherlands, Saudi Arabia, UK, Germany. So all are countries which are just looking forward to these foods which are being done from India. So that being the case, we need to see in where and how do we take. Now, cold storage is another, because today there are many of the vegetables, many of this thing have got certain particular time when it is comes, and certain time when it is needed. Sometimes it is needed permanently at some place, but it produced only at some particular time. Okay. There are few which are produced throughout the year, throughout the time. But most of the food items have got its own eccentricity of. So storage becomes very important. Storage is by various. One is by temperature, one is by radiation, one is by climatic condition, and one is by normal. It can stay wherever it has to stay. This is an important slide. This is a very, 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 very important slide. Our losses are as much as 93,000 crores, which is something which can take care of so many things. Farmers' suicide will totally disappear. Farmers' expectancy of money will totally disappear if we can take care of these losses. How do we take care of the losses? It is one thing to say, one thing to give a solution. So we will now also find a solution. What is it that we can do to ensure that once we remove these losses, it is something which will take care of so many of the requirements. Now, this is where we come to the secured governance. In secured governance, in many of this, there is a huge requirement of inflow of funds. Banks have got money, but banks have got money with their own preset conditions. Banks are flush with money. But many of the preset conditions are not easily formable by the normal users in farming industry. Second is the way the fund has to be properly seen. What does secured governance say and do? It says harnessing untapped potential for national growth, defining growth through convergence of multiple sectors, infrastructure development with minimal government investment, setting up hubs, mini hubs, nano hubs nationally. Very simple, straightforward statements. Now, when we say nano hubs, each and every tree is a nano hub in terms of agriculture. Each and every mandi is a mini hub where things are, and each and every big farm and big thing is a major hubs. Okay. Now, when we design like this, what typically happens? The farmed item itself brings you huge valuation. This valuation, once it is going to come, it itself pays for what is going to be the value. So which means there is a cycle, self-sustained mechanism starts. So when the self-sustained mechanism starts, you automatically have a growth phenomena taking place. That's where secured governance will play a huge role in ensuring that your 90,000 crore, which is somewhere documented, officially agreed figure of losses of fully grown food, which is where somebody's blood, sweat, everything has gone in, and where there's a huge money going in, and which is just rotting in many of the godowns or in transport or in languishing in somewhere in ports. If they are removed, it will come. And secured governance plays a role to ensure that this management of funding, management of transportation, they are all taken on a proper basis. And it will also ensure that agriculture will have its own degree of various types of hubs. Hubs right from a tree management to a set of variables which are controlled in common places, that is mini hubs, and to large agricultural factories which are there, which will almost be like a agri-smart cities. So now coming to smart cities, of course, after this I will relax for 2 minutes. I will ask Akram to say. Now this statement is that today whenever smart cities are being talked about, general feel is, oh, when smart city comes, the villagers will be affected, the farming community will be affected, the farmers' land will be taken. No. In secure governance, it triply ensures that no farmer will ever be touched. Because, here's the next slide, after which I will tell Akram to come in line, that India has got almost 5.57 lakh square kilometers of something called degraded wasteland, which is not a farming land. No farmer would like to touch it. And what secured governance says is, in this land, 5% of this land, because some of this land could be forest land, some of the land could be mangrove, some of the land could be something else. 5% of this you allot for the city development. And in our own concept of smart cities, we are talking of smart cities going till the village level. That means we are not talking of drifting and lifting the farmer to the cities, by which cities will crash. There'll be no benefit done to the farmer. He will just be, instead of rotting in a village, he'll be rotting in the city, which we don't want. We want him to prosper in wherever they are. And we would like the prosperity to come in the village itself. That is where this particular small slide, which I will this thing and give it to Akram, will make the huge difference. Yes, Akram, you can.
Thank you, Dr. Sekhar. Wonderful. A lot of points coming up on the agriculture front. There are a couple of queries that I can see from our social media. Number one, the biggest challenge of Indian agriculture is small land holding. That is what is more prevalently very famous and known. Now, China has even equal amount of that, but China has very successfully overcame that problem. How do India or how does India address this issue of small land? I'll have a couple of questions. I'll ask together. Second is the mechanization. The mechanization process in Indian agriculture is little low. How do we do that? The third is agri marketing. All the agricultural producers that are being produced, the farmers do not get enough amount of the profit that is generated from the entire value chain after that. How does or how can we give more profit sharing to the farmers who are actually manufacturing or producing these things? The third, one of the most important factor is a massive amount of people now from agriculture, because we know that we had 90% people who were dependent on agriculture, which has gone down to 70% now, 60 to 70%. And agriculture's GDP share contribution has also gone down from 60% to around 17 to 16 to 70% now. There's a massive reduction in that. Service sector has taken the pie in the GDP sharing. Now, how do we, so while that is so, how do we reduce the reverse migration? How do we actually control the reverse migration and stop migration from agri to other sectors? Or how to create more modern futuristic employment opportunities in the agri sector? The other important thing is we produce food crops more in India. Most of the farmers, they produce what they need to eat first, then they sell the extra produce of it. How do we promote cash crop so that it brings more revenue model in the agri sector? Storage infrastructure, you slightly touched upon. We need a massive revamp in the storage infrastructure in the country. In fact, we suggested long back, 10 years before, every panchayat should have a very high quality storage facility, so that to be should be provided at a very, very below rate to the farmers, so that they can store their food, which will reduce their food wastage, fruits wastage that we saw 93,000 crore rupees, waste that we do. Loan, there is no problem. In the government has a lot of money. The cooperative banks also give a lot of money. The problem is not the loan. The problem is the profit from the business. So how do we work on that? Water, water is a big irrigation is the biggest challenge now with the climate change issues the Indian farmers are facing. They need government build massive irrigation system or set up under this umbrella. How does your concept of secured governance provide solution to all of these problems?
See, let me address the first one first. The farm holding of a small farmer, going, of course, down to the distribution channel. Now, where does this secured governance play a role? Because secured governance, when it says all these small statements, where does it come for a small farmer? Now, small farmer is today totally pushed by the society, the expectation, and he also wants to have a lot of amenities for the children, for themselves and the children. So when such a thing is there, we cannot do a black magic that overnight something will happen and, the system will be different. But we need to do something of a dramatic and drastic nature. That's why we have defined the nano hubs, mini hubs, and hubs. Each small farmer becomes a nano hub. Okay. And what is being surmised is that each nano hubs will join together and form a mini hub. And mini hubs together will form a major hubs. Now, what does the small, statement imply? Now, once they join together, the valuation around the places goes sky high. Okay. the roads get built in. Today, every farmer is sitting in his own, like a fish in the pond. Everybody is a fish in the pond. But when the ponds get connected and they become a small lake and then they become a big lake, then all the facilities comes in. So the nano hubs join together through security. That means everybody's identity is there, but they are joined through a very fine-tuned IT AI structure, which means if somebody is making X today, like you said rightly, a guy makes X, he first tries to satisfy his family requirement and then balance he tries to sell. By that time, nobody is ready to buy because who is wanting something which is, after all this calculation, some XYZ amount of this thing, which is not correct. But the moment he joins, then it goes to the other man in a bulk, so-called discounted firm, but discounted on the other side, discounted for a higher value. Okay, so nano hub portion, when it is combined together, it will have a huge dimension. And with respect to secure governance, we generally have a structure by which these are all done through a secure governance committee, which means the government gets involved enough to facilitate the work. They don't get involved in the actual processing. So once farmers can join together through a system, not by one-to-one. One-to-one leads only to clash, physical as well as emotional. Through a system, then everybody is ready. That's why when government comes in picture, people are ready to obey because there's a commonality. They are not joining one-to-one. Here, that will take care. And through valuation, there will be enough for all. Because today, a farmer's land is available in terms of actual monetary term. Even 5-10,000 rupees per acre is not uncommon. And it will go to maybe 5 lakhs by this. Then see the difference. It's already, 100 times more. So there is enough money, even by the smallest fraction of it goes, he takes care of his, lively requirements. Whereas these rates, which I'm saying as general rates, are there for ages. They are not able to anything because they are all sitting in cocoon, in a small this. So that's why, we have to ensure that there is a proper linkages of all these small farmers, and we have to. Then comes the money to the farmer. Money to the farmer, of course, government of the bottom line is fighting it out in terms of giving the freedom at the same time their mandi. Whatever happens, the farmer has to get money what is due to him, due to the for the growth. So today we cannot, because our needs have gone up. There was a time when something X was available at maybe 10 rupees a kilo. Today it's available 100 rupees kilo, and farmer gets only the 2 rupees, which was getting when it was 10 rupees, which is not right. So there, the system has to take care, and the system will automatically take care in this particular system because they become like when they discuss secure governance. Here, secure governance society becomes part of the system. So they know there is no, somebody is doing something, why they did, I do not know, but I have to give my, vegetable at XYZ rate only. Will not happen. Secure governance simply ensures that there is a full-fledged involvement of the farmer in terms of his needs, in terms of his requirement, and in terms of the way it will go to the final user. Okay. So the farmer requirements, the small holding requirements will be taken care. And like I said in the previous slide, through secure governance, when it comes, there'll be no question of directly land being acquired by the government for saying something. It will never happen. Any government project will go through only, wasteland. Wasteland can take care of India's requirement for next 200 years. A small portion, 5% of the wasteland will take care of for 200 years. So we don't even require this thing. If somewhere, because of some road being broadened, a small portion is taken, you can give somebody 10 times the compensation and still there'll be nothing wrong. Another question which was raised was about water. Now, why the water problem is there? There is enough water for India's full requirement. Water gets only circulated. We know that water really does not go out of the system. Then the problem is coming again where secure governance will come and mind. Without secure governance also, what is the problem if you have to analyze? There it is coming because we are not budgeted for water to be taken in. Everywhere water is taken as something else, somebody else's property, water has to come. And the person who says, no, why should I do? What do I gain from it? Water supply to all the thing has to be budgeted. And in secure governance, there is a full-fledged mechanism by which the water problem is fully taken care when agriculture comes. Because unless the critical inputs are taken care, secure governance does not move forward because it takes care of valuation. Valuation will not come, just like in any listed company, any this company. till the whole thing is complete, it will not go forward. Same way, here water, if you don't touch water as one of your core ingredients, secure governance will not move forward. The so-called committee which is there will not find any way to go to the next level. It is just like having a gas and you are not put a plug properly. Then it will not go. I have electricity, by my switch is not okay. Not same way, water becomes a core critical element. It will always be taken care when SG comes in picture. Now coming back to my last few slides. Okay. Now there are a lot of notable trends which I have noted here in terms of the changing consumer tastes. Consumers have got different. You can't tell it. I fed you yesterday X. You take only Y. You take only X today. It doesn't happen, and the impact of it will be right at the ground level. So that they have to take care. So that they are all minor, but they are all very core and important. So it will be there. Same expansion of international market, so international companies. Because when we are talking of international thing, again, tastes are different, the requirements are different, but the core is ours. Suppose if mango has to go, if it has to be packed, suppose some country says, I don't want any plastic packaging, and you give plastic package, it will go all the way there and come back. Nobody will even touch it. Or some countries say, no, I want only plastic packaging, and you get some paper packaging, they are not going to take. So there, the requirement of the customer should be seen and not what you want to give. It's not a question of, you can't trust anything on the customer. So today, even when you're saying that Indian foods are becoming popular, Indian masalas are there. Suppose we only put hot masala and then give it to them. Many other countries may not like. Same country may like 10 years later hot masala. Today they don't want. Today they want Indian masala, but Indian masala of a lower chilies. Okay. Same thing changes with time. So everything has to go till the bottom line and everything has to be this. And we have tried and tested it in the last 25 years. That is one thing which is very, very good. That like we are putting on some brand and all. Many of the brands in India are available in that brand name throughout the world, whether in USA or Africa or Southeast Asia. It is available. So which means we have done that, pilot, whatever we have done till now has to look like a successful pilot which is done and which needs to be totally be multiplied. So we have to have proper strategies for many of these things. And in each item, there is an extensive research which has to be part of the system. Because it should not be that, somebody says on phone something X you do and Y you do and then come back. No. Many times, even when I gave an example of packaging and all, there are people who have done electron irradiation by which consumable food can stay for 6 months to 1 year and 2 years. So which means you have to do an extensive research whether it has got any other side effect. Without that, if you give and some other side effect comes, it will not be good. Same way when you say cold storage may also give something. So the research has to be done, documented, perfected, simulated, tested, and then only with a certificate it has to go. So that if something new problem comes, that also has to be solved. So it is not a simple, somebody grows and even raw rice which is being exported, that rice is done and rice gets exported. Once they will take twice, they will take third time, they will throw you out. So because every aspect of it, the packaging in terms of quarter kilo, 1 kilo, 5 kilo, 10 kilo, 100 kilo, everything has to be seen. We also to see the last 5 days, one ship is stuck in Suez and the whole 500 ships are blocked. Now, when such a thing happens, when perishable food is there, it will all go to docks. So we have to ensure that if some such thing happens, how will still the food stay for longer time? Okay, because it's a critical thing. You can't say such a thing cannot happen or should not happen. And how all this thing, insurance also has to be seen. I have not put a special slide on that. Insurance is also a very major aspect, which is a side thing. It's not basically coming in agriculture. So agriculture deeply gets integrated with irrigation. I will not only mention it because irrigation is the one which produces water, which gives the water circulation, and it takes care of this. And institutional credit and investment is on the rise. So that's also is something which is really good. Only there again, people don't take it and use it properly. That's the biggest problem. Money is available. The sugarcane industry is in deep trouble because we are not putting the right, when something is on the field and it goes to the customer at X rate, the whole division of this money has to be properly rooted. And that portion needs a huge, calculation, huge transparency at the right places. It need not be over transparent, but enough transparent to this thing. So that, people would get what they want, people would get at the price in which they want. And there are perishable, like I said, perishable item, it may perish within 2 days. Perishable item, a non-perishable item, it may stay even for 2 years. Rice, which will stay for even 2 years. In fact, the older rice is supposed to be more better than the non-fresh rice. Same way, I know this type of erraticity is there. Pulses, they stay for longer time. Same thing, pulses, when it is being made, you have to quickly, make it a pulse. Otherwise, it may get rotten. Or even while doing it, if even a little moisture is there, it may get spoiled. So at every aspect, research should be there, value addition should be there. Secure governance comes in terms of that how each value addition should give a value, and which value will give rise to the proper throughput, proper business, proper long-term commitment, and proper infrastructure. When we said multiple sectors, multiple this thing, what does it mean? That means even when a village is there, village will have agriculture, but it may also encourage rural tourism. It may also encourage a lot of educational hubs to come in. When it combines, when a lot of small farm holdings come, they will have a good school, good college, major school, then grow up. Each time when they grow up, valuation will grow up. So you're almost having a 100-year leap. You'll know that the same place will be of so and so value at so and so time, and there is a prosperity which will be growing through the nerve of the development. So, and these things also will have, the competitive advantage, same way. So when there is arable land, irrigation land, coastline, so many things are there. And each would have its own value growth, which would have its own, again, another small thing which I said about global ranking. Now, many times we Indians don't take care of our own ranking in the world. Everywhere we are very happy with somebody saying that, we produce all the best engineers and best breeding, and still none of the Indian universities will come in top 100. We'll be very proudly presenting it in our conferences, saying that, oh, Indians don't even come. We should say there's something wrong with them. Same in agriculture, we are very good. We are doing some very nice. And if somebody says, no, Indian food is bad, Indian food is not good, Indian food is rated as, 100 to this thing, I also quoted, because that's what it is there today. But we should see that practically, we are positioned properly. We also do not want to have artificially, this rating. But definitely where we are good, it should be highlighted, and we should proudly be where we are. And then wherever we are low, that also we should try to push it up. And because in everywhere, where our rating is in the top 5, we are rated in some differential way towards a country which doesn't even have 10 million people. We start wondering, how can the country be better than us in this? Maybe in that some particular qualitatively they may be good, which we can follow. But in terms of quantitative way, when the country is so large, when the country is so much producing and so much consuming, how can it be wrong? So there again, researcher and others have to ensure that proper inputs are provided. So be good and be seen to be good. Many times, we are good and we are not seen to be good, and we are happy to be, rated as not good. Okay, which we have to ensure that we keep improving. At the same time, where we are good or where we are semi-good, we are positioned properly. That's why some of the global rank, which we are generally not very well taken care, which we should take care. Now I'm coming to the last 5 minutes of my this thing, so I will rush through. Now, favorable policies supporting the sector. The government has done, independent of the type of government, they have done extremely good work. Okay, because right from the time when India was totally, starved of food, today to the kitchen of green revolution, to the quality of food which is coming out is absolutely good, and so many other things which are happening, which are there. That's why, see, when we talk of farmer suicide, it is highlighted today, which we have to appreciate. There are much more farmer suicide before, when 90% of people could not even produce food for us. But today that is getting highlighted, which is very good. So that we are taking care. We are making policies. We are making this thing. There are so many people who are making their efforts to, bring the farmer suicide to nil or negligible position. Because we are not shy of saying something is wrong with us. Something is wrong. The wrong actually is very, very minor. Let us also understand that in a country of 1.3 billion people, when 3,000 farmers die, it is very sad. But in a country of 1.3 We have to bring the 3,000 to 300 to 30 to 0. That is there. But the fact that that is being highlighted, that is being studied, there are so many people who are trying to see what can we do. There are so many banks and others who approach me saying that can we do something? We are saying this is what we should do. We should go and triply ensure that, first of all, psychologically see who are all, because again, when somebody commits suicide, not only the thing, so many psychological, social parameters come, identify them, take care of them, put them in a proper, environment in which they will be taken care, and then let that be minimized or made to negligible or zero position. So many policies are being done by various governments, state as well as central, which is there for taking care. And I will not go again into the detail of each. This is right from agriculture. We have also included somewhere animal husbandry, which is not totally into agriculture, because there's a separate ministry for agriculture, separate ministry for dairy, separate ministry for animal husbandry, and separate for fisheries. Okay. So unfortunately, some of this British legacy has gone so deep in our system that, even though when so many things are common, because the ministries are different, one has to see some of the numbers, some of the facilities, some of the infrastructure separately. But on the whole, we have, when secured governance, of course, it doesn't do that division. Secured governance take care of it on a singular way, giving individual merits to individual sectors. So now, again, as I said, coming to conclusion, in terms of opportunities, right from cold storage to supply chain to the way things will be marketed, things will be supported. In all these things, let us also remember that let us not make a villain of somebody or hero of somebody. It is a necessity and the process. And these two has to be seen. Somebody and everybody has to gain in that. Even the person who may not have done justice in the past should also be ensured that we do not go out of the way to. And in these, there has been quite a good awards, rewards, and many things are there for India and Indians. Indians abroad will certify to you that every neighbor would like to have food in their home, because of the quality of food and the quality of way we are doing it. So coming to final challenges is that, we have done tremendous work in agriculture. Okay. And because agriculture, the core and supplies to 1.4 billion people and increasing at the rate of 20 million, whether we get salary or whether we get money or whether we get GDP or under it, they have to be fed, and they will be fed, of course. There is no jam. But because of the expectations are high, the tastes are going different, and the amenities and the infrastructure is different. There are challenges which has to be continuously met, and in that the full support system has to come in picture. Here government has got a huge role to play, but more than the government, common man has got, common man including agriculturists and the leaders in agriculture have got a role to play to have a sustainable food and agriculture. And yes, some of the drawings we have done to see that how it will be green, how it will ensure that we are on the right track, how we ensure that this gives finally a happiness index also being high. It is not the GDP alone which keeps you whatever you want. It is a happiness index which is very important, which is somewhere depend on GDP, and many places it is independent of GDP. So again, there has to be a huge innovation index in agriculture, because in every aspect of agriculture, there's something which can be done, right from the way the seeds are being shown. So many things are there which are being done by, which are not being done by our own education institution, which they should do, encourage the students to do, so that a person to come to the final conclusion, they finally, the agriculturalists should stay in rural and be happy. That's what is my own book on agriculture emphasizing. It is no use telling them the way forward in terms of how he should come to city, pollute the city, and he also gets polluted. Instead of that, he should be happy in village. Village should be better than a city. And that is what I would make it as my last statement and conclude today's talk.
Thank you so much, Dr. Sekhar. Wonderful, actually. So today, viewers, we discussed about the challenges in the agriculture. We tried to find out solutions, and also we tried to find out and articulate the entire concept of solution and opportunities under the framework of secured governance. I'm very happy that we touched upon the most important aspects in terms of the challenges that the agriculture is facing. Now, as India moves towards industrialization, strengthening its agriculture sector becomes all the more important. The reason for industrial recession or inflation or hyperinflation is agriculture. So the agriculture's growth has to keep a pace with the industrialization that any country takes. If the agriculture does not grow with the pace of the industry, then a huge amount of hyperinflation becomes a pressure, especially the food inflation becomes a pressure to the society. So India, as it is giving importance to its industrialization, maybe as the next couple of decades belongs to India and South Asia, there'll be a huge amount of FDI money coming to India and South Asia. Now, with this, we also need equal amount of growth and opportunity exploitation in the agriculture sector. That is what also in our episode today we try to bring a solution of. Thank you. If you like the discussion like that we are doing, keep liking and subscribing to our channel. We will be back with experts again next week with similar, uh, you know, topic and expertise. Thank you. Keep watching.